I'd love to also know the story behind I Need a Dollar.
Yeah, I Need a Dollar was inspired by listening to field recordings. There's a historian who would gather songs from people in the South and all across the country and all across the world.
Yeah.
Lomax, he would put these recordings together of folks who had songs that didn't have an opportunity to record.
Wow, I want to hear that.
This is, you know, back in the early days of recording.
Can you get that on Spotify?
I'm sure you can get it on Spotify.
How do you find it?
You can look up, I think you look up Lomax field recordings.
I'm going to look that up.
And these were songs that in particular I was listening to, the songs that were like chain gang songs.
Yeah.
So prisoners or field workers who were just singing songs as they were working.
Yeah.
And so I Need a Dollar became my chain gang song. It just was something that I would come up with as I was driving long hours from LA down to Orange County and back.
That was before you became famous, right? Before...
Certainly before I became famous. Even before I got signed to an indie label, I was I had just been fired from or laid off from my business consulting job.
What was that?
I was working as a consultant at Ernst & Young.
I'm glad you got laid off.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And I was living in a house full of musicians, and one of the roommates had a great record collection. Actually, everybody shared the record collection, but he would play these field recordings. And one day I asked him, "What is this?" And he told me that these were just recordings of songs that otherwise would never have been documented. And it really inspired me. And I started writing I Need a Dollar just as a chant that you could sing with friends, and they would make up their own verse, and then you come back to the chorus, I Need a Dollar.
I love that.
And then make up another verse. Eventually I just made up all the verses for myself.
Couldn't help it.
And I went to work with a really great production team out of New York called Truth and Soul. They had just done the music with Amy Winehouse on her Back to Black album.
Wow.
And so they had this really soulful retro style, and we jammed on some beats in the studio, and at night I would take them to my rented apartment and write lyrics. And this idea for I Need a Dollar fit perfectly over one of the jams. And you know, I guess the rest is history. It was really well received.
Was that your first really big breakthrough song?
That was the very, very first big breakthrough song. And it was a sync in a TV show called How to Make It in America. That is what made it popular enough for then radio in Europe to start playing it.
So how long from the writing of the song until it got released, and then until it became a staple?
Wow. I'd say I started writing it in 2003 or 4. It became solidified on tape in 2009.
Oh, whoa, that's a long
right?
time.
So it was just a song that was living inside of me.
Yes.
It had no instrumentation.
Yes.
It was just the melody and the lyric. And every time I would go drive, I would make up another verse, and make up another concept. And eventually I had all of these lyrics sitting inside of my heart. And when we had this jam in 2009 in New York, I thought, oh, this is the home for these lyrics.
Nice.
And so as I grew up making hip hop music, so as an MC, I'm always writing. There's always lyrics.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need a beat. I just have rhymes.
Yeah.
And these rhymes can find places. When I started singing, I was able to easily translate the facility with rhyme to singing, and then have, you know, multiple songs waiting for instrumentation.
Yes.
And melodies waiting for chord progressions.
Yeah.
So it worked out perfectly.